subtly.
Before we get started on this video, guys, I want you to know that this right here is basically going to be like part 1 of 4. It's for the most part an introductory video. This is going to be mostly asking some questions. We'll be diving deeper into that, especially in the episode of the Chips and Caviar podcast that David Goggins did. We're going to be looking at that more in depth in parts 2, 3, and 4, which of course will come out later on this week. And with that right here being said, think about this video right here as strictly an introduction to the actual series itself. We're just going to be asking some serious questions here. And please, guys, if you're Special Forces, please feel free to chime in. If I get anything wrong or anything, please notify me in the comment section. I'm mostly talking about a lot of things on my end from my own personal anecdotal experience. But please leave it in the comment section. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts. And with that being said, let's get started.
I'm not saying anything bad about him, but we got guys from the SEAL teams quitting. But now women are getting through Ranger School. So here I am now, Ranger School. First few days there, the guys are treating me like shit. They're RIs because, they think that Navy SEALs are now just a bunch of punk ass bitches because a couple guys quit. So I come in and I'm thinking, what the hell is this about, man?
And that, my friends, is David Goggins. What is up, guys? Short time of prepping here, John Claymore. And this video right here was meant to come out on Saturday, but some things have happened which kind of caused me to be a little bit delayed. However, there is going to be a very detailed piece on this entire podcast. This right being the Chips and Caviar podcast. And of course, I will be linking the full episode in the description box for you guys. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this because this right here is going to be an ongoing series. Of course, we're talking about Gallagher again. We're going to be talking about Crenshaw, the whole Crenshaw-Goggins beef and what that's all about. That right there will be in parts 3 and 4, but they'll be called 1 and 2. But they'll be coming out more than likely on Thursday, Friday time frame, somewhere right around there. So make sure you guys stick around. So what we're going to be talking about is this here. So in this podcast, Goggins was talking about his deployment. He was talking about, I say this right here, his personal feelings on SEALs, the military as a whole, and why it is that there's an 87% that is, let's just say, preaching a message that probably should not be preached, especially to Special Forces. Now, guys, I'm just a common basic Marine. So if you're former Special Forces or if you've got a different experience outside of maybe being like just a regular basic guy, maybe like Marine Recon, Green Beret, or anything like that, I want to get you guys' thoughts in the comment section as we talk about this. But let's just go ahead and say this right here. Goggins was not exactly happy with the idea of Navy SEALs going to Ranger School and dropping out, as I'm about to show you guys right here.
Anything bad about him, but we got guys from the SEAL teams quitting, but now women are getting through Ranger School. So here I am now, Ranger School. First few days there, the guys are treating me like shit. They're RIs because, they think that Navy SEALs are now just a bunch of punk ass bitches because a couple guys quit. So I come in and I'm thinking, what the hell is this about, man? So while I was going through Ranger School, I ended up getting Honor Man, okay? Best guy there. So once again, I've also heard that David Goggins is a shitbag operator, doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that. I guess they just give out Honor Man to this a shitbag. So anyway, the number one leadership school in the military, shitbag David Goggins, the Honor Man. So I got second Honor Man. The reason I didn't get first Honor Man because my dumb ass was in land navigation and I fucked up and I failed the first one. And as they were giving out the top Honor Man, which I was supposed to get, I'm leaving the RI's office at the end of Ranger School. And he's like, did your fucking dumbass fail fucking land navigation because you get 2 chances? And I go, yeah, I failed because attention to detail. I got all the points, but you had to write the number and also do like a little puncher. I didn't do the puncher. I quickly got the points, wrote the numbers down. I went back the next time. Anyway, I got second Honor Man. So second in class. So I get that, come back home.
Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because the whole 2-hour podcast episode was an extremely in-depth and thorough one. And, of course, I've also got to keep the bad language down because, YouTube censorship, YouTube obviously blocking certain videos, not allowing certain videos to go through the algorithm, that type of good stuff there. Still, though, at the same time, though, we discussed this because obviously the civilian population out there oftentimes gets the wrong impression of the military, which, by the way, is discussed heavily in that podcast. I'll go ahead and tell you guys that now as I link it there for you guys to see. And, of course, we talk about it, too, as well. Now, I know it sounds a little bit redundant and kind of talking in circles here, but I kind of need to go ahead and get that out there because that's obviously a lot was covered in this podcast. So let's talk about the perception of civilians towards the military. There are a lot of perceptions that a lot of civilians have that us veterans aren't really doing anything. And there are obviously some perceptions out there to believe that maybe we're a little bit more badass or maybe we're too badass. And I think that a lot of the reasons why we're starting to think this way, or at least civilians are starting to think this way, is not because of stories that are being handed down from generation to generation, but obviously because when you've got people like the Black Rifle Coffee guys out there basically saying that the military is a very degenerate a very degenerate community, then obviously people are going to probably get a very negative perception. In some cases, some people are going to get the wrong perception of how the military really and truly operates. Now, one of the things that I noticed that he was talking about throughout his entire podcast was the fact that he felt that there was a certain percentage of SEALs, roughly 87%. And like I said, if you're a Navy SEAL, please comment. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on this. Please don't beat me up if I get this wrong, though. The thing is right here, what he was trying to say was that there was 87% of SEALs were being told stuff like, you don't need to be in shape to kick down doors, you don't need to be in shape to do this. And Goggins, of course, was arguing that the better physical condition that you were in, the more likely that you're going to be better at your job, meaning that you're going to be at much more peak mental condition. It does a lot for your warrior soul is basically what it does. You may not have got that in that clip, but that's basically the point that he's trying to get across. Now, with the Crenshaw stuff, that's about Mike Day, but we'll be covering that a little bit later on because I know somebody's probably thinking, when are you going to cover that or when are you going to talk about that? As I said, that will be a little bit later on this week because I think it deserves a much more thorough examination, especially given the fact that I had to do 2 videos on the Gallagher ordeal. So, the thing is this right here. Is physical conditioning important to the military? Yes, it is. It's extremely important to the military. Now, I don't want SEALs, Green Berets, Delta, Marine Recon to suddenly fall into a trap someday where they're told that, quite frankly, you don't need to do this right here to kick down doors. You don't need to do this right here to be able to shoot things, destroy things, to be accurate, to be actually good at your job. No. You need to be in great physical condition. The reason why you need to be in great physical condition is exactly what he says in the podcast. It's about your overall mental conditioning and your alertness, how you're able to stay awake, how you're able to still thrive. Now, I know that it may seem a little bit like you're probably saying, okay, look, I'm a little bit lost here. What are you trying to say? I'm trying to say that physical fitness does matter. It doesn't just matter here in the civilian world. It definitely matters in the military world, especially if you're special forces. And of course, with the lowering of standards that's been going on, especially for women, which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and harp on this one now. He brought up the fact that, we got women going through Ranger School when they're graduating, which I think they're going through Marine Corps Infantry Training Battalion. But I want to say that it was actually something that went on a while back that said that, that women were not getting through ITB, but yet they were getting through Ranger School. Some very weird stuff, which, the argument has always been, are Rangers and Marines basically the same? Or are they on the same level? Well, I can tell you right now, I personally don't really and truly know. Obviously, as a Marine, we obviously think we're a cut above. We obviously feel that we're a cut above because, for the most part, we kind of sort of are a cut above. But then again, at the same time, though, each level of training actually presents a different level of, effort, a different level of knowing, if you guys are kind of picking up what I'm saying. He talked about the whole land nav thing, how it was he didn't get the honor grad because he obviously bungled it his first time around. Attention to detail, small things like that. Some people out there, some types of training are going to be a little bit differently. SEALs obviously are trained to do a lot more underwater stuff, where I think Rangers are designed to do. And please, if you're an Army Ranger, please tell me in the comment section. I'm just going off most of my knowledge when I was in the Marine Corps. Rangers, of course, I think are designed mostly to go behind enemy lines off the bat and do stuff like, climbing mountains, climbing hills. The more land navigational type of stuff. Same thing with Green Berets. Marines, of course, were amphibious, and of course, Recon Marines, they go behind enemy lines and do reconnaissance missions. So obviously, each special forces group obviously has a different, let's just say, they have a different function. As I've always said about the military as a whole. We all love to rip one another from time to time. Marines, we pick on the Army. Army, they pick on us. They call us crayon eaters. We call them out of shape. We make fun of them for having their hands in their pocket. Navy, of course, we call them squid, all that stuff there. But at the end of the day, they always give us a ride to work, meaning they give us a ride to the location we're going to be fighting at. Air Force, we make fun of you guys all the time, call you guys pogues, all that stuff there. But then again, though, we also know that we need you in order to win battles, because obviously air is very, very important. And obviously, Coast Guard guys, you guys protect our waterways, you guys protect our oceans. Everybody in the military does, in fact, have an actual function. So while we may rip one another and pick on one another, just know that it's all about love at the end of the day. Now, back to the topic at hand. So essentially, Goggins, from the impression that I got, was that he was worried about the military's future going forward, especially with standards being knocked. Well, David, welcome to the show. You're not the only one who's worried about that. But then again, I'm pretty sure that he was calling this out when he was in. I mean, he keeps going on and saying over and over again that he's not popular in that community. And he even covered up the trident on the cover of his book for, well, a reason I'm not going to mention here. Some people love this guy, some people hate this guy, but I got to tell you right now that I think a lot of the things that he brought up was entirely legitimate. It should have been brought up because, well, these are the men and women who protect our country. I know this. I had that same task. I had that same, and I'm not a badass. I'm just telling you, I'm just a regular, basic guy who served. Okay, I have the same exact thing. So obviously, you're going to need to be in peak physical condition in order to do this job and do it effectively. And I think that Goggins is 100% correct, at least in that area there. And I also believe that the civilian populace does get a very bad perception of the military that's not exactly true. I think what needs to happen is that we need to actually be telling people the truth as far as us veterans and stuff. Now, I understand the whole recruiting thing and why is it recruiters need to obviously fudge things a little bit to kind of get guys to the door. Now, me personally, my recruiter, he didn't fudge things for me at all. He told me point blank, think of it as a great big giant game when you go through boot camp. That's basically what he told me. He didn't lie to me. Some recruiters probably do lie. Some recruiters probably don't tell people the truth. It's just the way that it is. But I do believe that Goggins is 100% correct, that obviously there are some things, some red flags that quite frankly were probably going off long before we saw this whole social justice warrior push. And that's what we're going to be discussing for the most part this week and the rest of the series, as well as the Crenshaw beef. But that's going to be coming out late. I'm going to try to go ahead and do all these videos tomorrow and Tuesday, and try to get these videos out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It may end up being a 5-video week. I would like to post a lot more, as you guys can tell. This channel's kind of died off a little bit, and obviously I want to get it back going and everything. Those of you who actually stuck with me, stuck with the channel, I really and truly appreciate you guys sticking around. I really and truly mean that. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for sticking around, okay? And with that rather being said, just giving you guys a bit of a preview going forward. Make sure you guys hit that like button, please. Subscribe, share the video. I want to get you guys thoughts, especially if you're Special Forces. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.